All right, so welcome back. We are going to be making some pho today, some Vietnamese pho. So first thing that we did is took some beef bones and beef marrow. That has a little bit of meat on the outside of the bone as well. We have that roasting at 425 in the convection setting in the oven. I'm going to do that for about 30 to 45 minutes, probably closer to the 40-minute mark, kind of right in between. I do have it on the convection setting mainly because it's going to help kind of incorporate the heat all around the bone rather than just from the bottom up. It'll help to cook more evenly. I also cut up some onions and some ginger here. So we'll have that going into the oven once the bones are back out. Stay tuned. After about 35 minutes, I've removed the bones from the oven and put the ginger and onions in there. I slathered some oil on top, and I'm broiling them initially on low for about 7 minutes, and then increasing to high for the last 5 or so. At the same time, I'm searing the chuck roast to get a nice crust on the outside. I'm not really worried about it cooking all the way through, as we'll be putting it back into the broth once it's seared, and that'll finish the cook. I have put the bones into a stock pot and covered them in cold water and skimmed off any fat and scum that's risen to the top. At the same time, I'm toasting the spices. The smell is absolutely incredible. The onions and ginger are looking great. They're starting to brown up nicely. Once the onions and ginger are nicely browned and the spices are toasted, I have added them to our stock pot, which is simmering for 2 hours. I've added garlic to the spice list that Joshua Weissman provided, mainly just because I like garlic. Once that has simmered for 2 hours, I have removed the chuck roast from the broth and set that aside to rest. I continued to stir as best I could to be sure I'm incorporating all of the flavors together. I'm going to go ahead and let this simmer for another 2 hours. Once that has simmered for 2 more hours, I'm going to strain it. I strained it twice. The first time using a large pasta strainer. The second using a small wire strainer. I then cut the stems off of a bunch of cilantro and tossed them in a coffee filter and tied it off and let it sit in the broth for about 15 minutes. Now it's time to boil your water for the rice noodles. Cut your onions, cilantro, Thai chili peppers. In this case I used jalapenos, mint, and basil. Put it together and bam, you have yourself an incredibly delicious meal. I want to give a massive shout out to Joshua Weissman, whose recipe this is. Give his page a follow for more incredible meals. This dude is a wizard in the kitchen. Everything he makes looks insanely delicious. Now go, make some pho, and enjoy.